then this number starts ticking, and then it's actually recording and streaming at that point. So that's the turn on method. You don't have to worry about remembering. I'm just showing you. Everybody does this. I show them. Oh, there it is. All right. So A or B? C. Well, B is closer to C. Thank you. So last year I would always read Proposition 1 and the Sacred's Checklist. So since someone picked A or B, I'm only going to read one of the two all the time because I can always point out this link up here, and that's where the videos are secured for at least a few days to a few weeks, and then they move to another place where if you know how to get a hold of me, they can tell you how to do that. They're all there, or at least the links to them are. Anyway, so Proposition 1, which is soon to be placed by Proposition 2. I have a second proposition, but this is tradition here. Proposition 1, whereas warfare is the worst of all crimes, and that it embodies, encourages, and rewards all others. I like the whereas is. And there's no plural to whereas. Whereas I, whereas is. Anyway, whereas the definition of war used at the Nuremberg trials is meet for the purposes of this proposition. Therefore we, the party of the first part, all citizens of any nation, all those who suffer from the effects and privations of war, who oppose it as a system, as a behavior, as a socially accepted institution, call for an end to war, the cessation of all hostilities, the standing down of all military forces, and universal disarmament. Further, let it be known, we, the people, the party of the first part, state, by our assertion at this time and place, that we stand opposed to the existence or use of military force as we now know it. All those in favor of proposition would please signify by raising your hands or nodding sagely. Thank you. All those opposed, please nod sagely or whistle. Abstentions? Do we have an abstention? Nothing should be unanimous. That's not democratic. Anyway, so last thing I sometimes say, there's never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. That's Margaret Mead, by the way. I like that quote. You too can make a difference in your world. Now, let me just see here. Oh, we have a keynote. Oh, the prizes. Sorry about that. I'm trying to do everything. Usually have someone else do this, but you know I am. Wuthering Heights. Emily Bronte. Now, if you've never read this is something to read. Charles Darwin's Voyage of the Beagle.
Pretty good book.
Strunk and White. This helped me out, I swear to God.
Right?
Bells in Winter, says La Milaws. Very nice contribution. Who brought this in? Someone raise their hand. Who brought this? Thank you. All right. And if you don't like Noam, or you do, this is Noam Chomsky's What Uncle Sam Really Wants. You mean besides everything in the world. And then we have 3, count them, 2018 calendars. 2 from Wilderness. I'm saving the other 2 for next week. And then this one is the Nature Conservancy, which I got a few of these, so because I did what I did.
Yeah,
okay, hold on a moment, please. And oh yeah, that's right. All right, so oh yes, if you read a poem by someone else, I give you this so you can make sure that I don't always write "Charge of the Light Brigade" by Charles Defade on the Haudry, as we like to say. Now, this brings us to the keynote of the evening. Will Clyde always, the keynote of the evening, kindly step forth or fifth, and hold forth or fifth, as he is wont to do. Give him a round, please. Making sure I know that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. This is I Spy by Ogden Nash. Now, elbow deep in middle age, a viewer, I'm of video. And some of it is beautiful, but most of it is hideous. I like to view the video on Saturdays, for instance. I like to view the Notre Dames, the Rutgerses, and Princetons. I like to view Citation Run. I like to view his jockey. I like to view the baseball game. I like to view the hockey. But there are less exalted scenes I view up on the video. The lady wrestlers make me sick. Perhaps I'm too fastidio. And evening video, I view it with alarum. I can't determine which it's for, the nursery or the barroom. Yet ask me to your house to view, and I'll be there immediate. For all the world is video, and I'm the village vidiot.
Thank you. Who wrote that poem?
Ogden Nash.
Okay, do you want to?
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Here, that way I can attribute it to
John Beresford Tipton, the millionaire. You remember that show? I am John Beresford Tipton. I'm going to give $1 million away to some lucky shoemaker. I almost said a wrong word, but I didn't. See? And it's on. Thank you, Clyde. Always. See? I spy. See, I thought that's right. Give her another round of applause. That was always wonderful. He'll be back in the open because that's the way we do things around here. All right, so what I'm going to do now is read the next 5 readers. Count them 5. We have, Barbara Torina, Rick Champion, Owen Dunkel, David Gregory, and no one took spot 5, so spot 5 will be John Beresford Tipton. Then Karen, then Stephanie, then Clyde always coming back, because the person who does the opening, the keynote, always comes back to read something of theirs. All right, so now Barbara, where are you, please? And this is her debut. Please give her the treatment as we're come to know it, please. Come on, this is not fun. Come on. I don't hear animal noises. Yeah, you gotta bark back at them. They're a hungry lot.
Thank you. Wasn't really planning on doing this, and I just found it online. So it's nice to be here from Eugene, Oregon. My name is Barbara Torina. Thank you. The piece here of mine is called The Prize. Tilt-a-whirling down the midway, this valley hot shoe-fly night is electrified with chants from soldiers of the penny arcade. Sons of soldiers of misfortune, Shanghai soldiers to forfeit their pay for the chant to shoot BB guns with off-centered scopes and toss gray balls at lead-cast milk bottles. Silver dimes ricochet off the rims of glass bowls, confusing the goldfish. The gold rope post on the carousel impales the body of an aqua green sea serpent displaced from an alcoholic nightmare. Swing the hammer to know if you're a he-man or a wimp. His eyes fixed on the victory bell, her heart set on the wide-eyed yellow stuffed canary. This is a scarecrow. Crucified in a Midwest cornfield, strapped in bondage by a discarded corner fence post with a noose of baling wire snug tightly round his neck. Wilted limbs tied to gloves without hands and rag-tied leather boots whose travels ended years ago. He is both keeper and slave to acres of verdant stalks stuffed with whiskers of saffron and gold that hold no value to him. The master, slate blue eyes scan the vastness of his land. His pride is as swollen as his stomach, half filled with Friday night gin. A sun-cracked, jaded smile authorizes his due respect. A crow arrives on a quiet northwesterly wind, touching down on the rounded, raggedy shoulder. Why should a scarecrow concern himself with the eating habits of crows? His lifeline is straw, not corn. Besides, they've never threatened, mocked, or misled him. The farmer picks up a stone and hurls it, grazing the crow's tail feathers. He shakes his head and leaves his field. The scarecrow's response is minimal. The scarecrow remains strapped in bondage to a discarded corner fence post, while his sovereign spirit rests on quiet, silent shadows carried by a northwesterly wind. I'll finish this with one last piece here. Looks like folks in this age here might remember this. Voices in One Dimension. President Kennedy was shot down in Dallas, his death sealed by Walter Cronkite. Before now, I heard nothing more than parental instruction, schoolroom chatter, and undistinguished voices of strangers in the grocery store. In blinded innocence, I saw the nation cry tears of sick confusion. I sit cross-legged on the floor, head tilted back, eyes focused upward. There he is, an immense black and white image tangled into my own truth. I hear him speak. I watch him watch me. Liars, liars, ice cream. He's not dead. My mother hurried into the room, looking as sick and confused as everyone else. She turned the knob on the blonde wood console to change my disbelief to electric gray snow. Thank you.
Barbara Torino, thank you. Nice voice. I was remiss in one small aspect of the pre-reading duties, and that is to say that although that quote by Margaret Mead is the ongoing theme, we have an evening's theme, which is brevity, just so you know. It's not a requirement, but we always have a theme for the evening, and that's this evening's, and I forgot to mention that along with these three-dimensional door prizes, we have the co-pilot, as we see here. The last word, which Britt Peter is going to do. The mini feature, which is Tommy. Give him a round of applause there. He can go on after the break. The keynote, which you saw just a moment ago with Clyde Always just raising the roof. And then, of course, someone chose brevity the last time, so you may decide to choose something like underwear, but please, that's already been taken. Not mine, but, somebody else's. Never mind. Too much information. All right, so we have another new person. His first time here. Mr. Rick Champion, who will kindly take the microphone and give him the treatment, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, your first try.
Very much, everybody.
Sorry.
Now, this I started to write as a cameo of family history. And then after doing that, something came to mind. I'll let you decide if this has to do with current events. Okay? This one is called Out of the Mouths of Babes. Lee warned us. You boys will see and hear things that you should not see and hear. When you do, keep quiet. Let them rock in their rocking chairs. They will be dead soon. One bathroom door said colored. Little brother followed me through the white door. At the ice cream line, no little brother. Ice cream teen kid made him move from the colored to the end of the white line. Little brother threw a significant tantrum. Bible lady said, that's the way it was. Bible friend commented, Dick was firing up the car. Lee was annoyed. Why did you wait in that line? Little brother was innocent. It was shorter. Bible lady said, out of the mouths of babes they shall be condemned. Bible friend answered, amen, sister, amen. Lee didn't want to meet Klansmen. Dick was watching the rearview mirror, getting out of town as quickly as legally possible. Mom, what's the Klan? You don't need to know. Little brother had a way of persisting, especially when Lee was annoyed. When he was old enough to know the answer, did you have Klan in Texas? Lee was near the end of her life and too exhausted to put him off any longer. Ye gods, yes. Those people never learn anything. Dick got lunch for us in the next county. Everyone in the restaurant showed Southern hospitality. Lee was talking about back home, Texas. Dick wanted to know how long to get across the state. I looked at the Abraham Lincoln Cafe across the street. Black faces only. I wondered. Next morning, found us in the next state. Dick stopped the car. The policeman answered politely but firmly. No breakfast here today. It's the Sabbath. We're Christian. Dick was resigned. Lee was on a direct line of attack to the polite policeman. Dick covered his face. Situation out of control. I'm from Texas, and we're Christian too. Lee was in emphatic mama mode. I thought, aren't we Catholic? Is that Christian? I didn't have it straight because this was during the pre-Kennedy years. But then other people didn't have it right either. Nowhere in the Bible did Jesus say that my family has to go hungry on the Sabbath. The polite policeman spoke directly to Dick. He wanted to avoid conflict with Lee. This was Dick's strategy too. He applied it on a daily basis. Often, but not always. Down the road a piece, sir, 20 miles. They're not as strict as we are. I was still mystified. I knew that it was Sunday, but did that make it the Sabbath? I recall Sister saying something about the Sabbath. I would have to check. I later found that Jesus got into big trouble over some actions on the Sabbath. Trouble that had something to do with breakfast.
Big champion! Thank you. And now Owen Dunkel is coming up next. Then we got David Gregory, Yasmin, Karen, Stephanie, Clyde, Rob, someone named Dan, for crying out loud, that guy. And then Mark and Joseph, for crying out loud, before our feature Sally Love Saunders, who is in the house, as we well know. You ready? All right.
This is my latest poem, which I finally typed up. At Starbucks, days pass by one. Time and space, more time and space. The wind whistles like a locomotive passing us by, like the movie, the greatest show on earth. Stop, stop. Don't you see the lights? I feel like an elephant trainer waving his arms for his would-be loved one, the girl on the flying trapeze. This poem is the greatest show on earth. Soon on Broadway it will be shoe time, shoe time. I'm an impetuous madman shouting an eternal opera. To a bad poem written by a good poet. Very mottled agony, aside from the earth, opened up to swallow me whole, as if I were vomited upon the world by lusty men. The small void deepens its fey plunge of stars by an orchestra of ostrich feathers, as the world shouts from its right and left hands. To a bad poem. Trees shadow our very hour, think I thought. Rounds we fire in every direction. Above we thought to the present. Stour, yesterday, the high hope, devour the winds with me with glee, as I went down to the light sea, charming with Nemesis. We scour the gray dark heavens, doves swooping down to the still dark rain falling in the cove of dark moist timbers until the next room we make, deep to ourselves, downtrodden asleep. Things we have yet left wing to imagine. The fee we are fit to keep out, different accolades of pear and plum, sell out in his garden. Yes, scum we discard on our way. Scout bury every single laugh that at you, my love, laugh. Rum, rum, you sound like that rum-dum of drinking. Foolish toper. Most of envy day after day, ridiculous social swirl that really, my darling, leads nowhere but to a delicious depression, that to a load starling rushes of the black mind. Yet the vacuous sense that I have, outset.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Give him a round, please. Now we have the Honorable Mr. David Gregory, a historical voice, hysterically historical, as we like to say. He doesn't like me saying that, but this is the first time I've said it, so I'll find out later on. David Gregory, give him a round of applause, please. Respected historical poet of history.
Wintry nights. On cold wintry nights I yearn for Irish coffee and toddy. I would not willingly spurn mulled wine, eggnog or bubbly. I dream of warmth and sunshine, of spring and of cooing doves, gentle bees mid flowers fine, frogs courting amongst their loves. I speak to my dead in dreams, like when they were still living. The calm, gentle voices seems to lull my restless thinking. I need your assistance still, though they're gone so long ago. The kind faces my dreams fill, in slumberland's quiet show. I wake refreshed and ready for another new morning, sitting upright and steady to walk into what's dawning. Remembering old John Brown. In a world beset by time, John Brown's name is timeless. He saw slavery as crime and fought to destroy it. The road from Harper's Ferry led to the gallows tree. 3,000 soldiers were there, that he be not set free. John Brown dead more powerful than when he was alive, the savior of downtrodden, the model for us to strive. He became an immortal hero, acknowledged by blacks worldwide, a Britain's model. For their liberty he died. Dreams never die. It's a long-for dream of ages, the new heaven and new earth, the storied old pages of humankind's rebirth. That dream surely will not die, where people have the goodwill of ardor and ideals high, for utopia they'll fulfill. Earnestly we will labor for that long-awaited time. When it comes we will savor that peaceful, glorious climb. Waiting for the storm to break, when the people will come, then the common folk would take power from the capitalist scum.
I told you. I like the historical references all. Thank you so much. Now we have Yasmin coming up next. Yasmin is in the house. There she is. Everyone, please.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm glad to be back here. I've been trying to read this darn book out loud for so long. It's written by Arun Kolatkar, who is a really good poet. And the print and the lighting just are not in harmony. So I'm going to request Stephanie, who's kindly agreed to read a little bit for me. And it's very short. But he was basically a street poet. Allen Ginsberg hung out with him in Bombay, India, and learned the couplets from him. So I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. Only this side, not the other side. This side. And then we stop. This is the French side. That's the...
I'll hand this to you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's en français. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I can. Well, I mean, I could, but nobody'd understand. Okay.
Mon Dieu!
Oui. 5. In Bandagir, in Andhra Pradesh, or maybe somewhere else in India, 13 high-caste Hindus are forcing 4 Dalits to eat human excreta, which is to say shit, right now, for letting their cattle graze in the jowar fields of an upper caste landlord, say, if not for some other reason. 6. Near home in Bombay itself, the miserable bunch of drunkards, delinquent, small-time crooks, and the usual suspects have already been served their morning hanji in Baikula jail. They've been herded together now and subjected to an hour of forced-fed education. One unfortunate wretch has been made to stand, book in hand, in front of a captive audience, interested more in horseplay, fisticuffs, and insider trading in cigarettes and charas pills than in listening to a one-page biography of Jawaharlal Nehru in a tattered high school textbook. All attempts the reader makes to decipher the text before him and string syllables into words. Ja 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 wa wa ja wa ha 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 ru ja bara la 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 la, get lost among the more fluent Madhudayas and other obscenities until the class is not so much as dismissed, it collapses as soon as the morning inspection is over.
All right. Thank you so much for bringing that in. I appreciate it.
I wish I could read it. Next time I write it, I'll read it.
So Karen Melinda-Magoon, who is in the house, please rise. Give her a round if she comes forward, please. And then we have Stephanie Manning, Clyde always coming back, Rob, me, Martin, Joseph, and our
Hi, everybody.
teacher.
I respond kind of viscerally and physically to that expression of what they were having to eat. I mean, I'm still feeling it. But beautifully read and horrible, yes, those thoughts. Little bitty things. First of all, Amelia Earhart, on January 11th, 1935, she began her trip from Honolulu to Oakland, California, becoming the first woman to fly solo across the Pacific. And that was tomorrow. That was it, right? So I brought Amelia to read, but it's kind of long, and I was thinking it would be so nice to do it with a saxophone. So I'm putting that off, even though
David Erdreich says his regrets.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't really expect him. It was sort of an informal kind of.
All right, but he told me to
that
say
was
that.
Great. That was very sweet.
All right.
Sometime we'll do it. Okay, this is for you, and I thought it was really interesting that Costa Rica. This is my late wonderful husband was K6DBM. That was his ham radio sign, and I still get the ham radio magazines. So, and he has a friend who is a ham radio, and this is a very, very elite and specific and wonderful group of people. And in Costa Rica, because of the endangerment and because of certain regulations that were not allowing them to be ham radios, they get licensing, they have started their own group and they're licensing themselves. So Costa Rica, or Puerto Rico, excuse me.
There we go.
I just was in Costa Rica this year. But anyway, Puerto Rico, of course, which is suffering so much continuously because we're doing nothing. Those ham radio guys, yay! They're in there. They're going to say we're going to help. We're going to help our
You should
country,
probably do
regardless of what
You should probably do a poem.
Yes, we should do a poem about the ham radios of Puerto Rico
I'll take
and
that.
standing up and for justice and for licensing and all that good stuff. Okay, then Overthrowing Capitalism, the 4th volume's come out by the Revolutionary Quartz Brigade, and I will read one of the poems in there. I'll read my own because it's there, but you know I probably should. If I come and do a beginning thing, I'll do it over. This is the Dakotas. And, of course, we all know what we went through last year with the Dakotas. Indigenous peoples, water protectors, are again threatened and chased from their land by military tanks and guns, invading the native camps, clearing the path of humanity, who stand on their native land, stand guard to protect the land and water, stand guard against those who would create a conduit to convey oil under the Indian sacred lake. The lake cannot speak. The lake cannot protect its protectors, who stand in a cold lake freezing, daring pneumonia to enter their bodies as the military shoots more water into their faces. The lake and its protectors are fragile. They are the meek, who inherit the earth when freedom comes riding on hooves of courage when right abides. Okay. Thank you. And so one more. This is, we're not doing, no, I'm not doing Amelia. Okay. This is Aleppo. And we're all aware of Aleppo.
Aleppo.
Okay. Aleppo on 8 hills, each hill vulnerable, like a dog belly up, curled inside the left bank of the Kiek, waiting for the next conqueror, the next caliphate, the next pounding of boots or screaming of bombs, the next strangers to trample over its opened wounds. Countless empires have ruled the hills of Aleppo since the beginning of civilization. Innumerable ethnicities, philosophies, languages, thoughts, artisanship, from rock to bronze to iron, massive walls, souks and cells and narrow alleyways inform its heritage, created by humanity waiting patiently. 3 millennia and more, wounded, bloodied, waiting patiently, waiting eternally for peace.
There's the land of Magoo.
I was reminded, Jeanette DeBoyne, whose book I have, is Jeanette here? Do you know Jeanette? Anyway, I wound up with her book somehow. And she reminded me that when we're singing about bombs bursting in air, it's a waltz. Ever thought about that?
Yes.
Da 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 da. Yeah, so anyway, just thought I'd remind you of some interesting, ironic thought.
Ironic thought.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now, Stephanie Manning, the person that I've depended upon from time and time again, and she's always come through, always forever coming through. A great poet, a wonderful reader, a stellar human being, and I'm going to stop talking now since she is ready.
You don't want to lie, Dan.
I'm sitting, I'm not lying.
Gravity, Dan.
Gravity.
All right, so
The opposite
so I
comedy.
just have 2 things. One on Furlingay and a poem of mine.
All right.
This is from the San Francisco Chronicle, a Wayback Machine, from 1968.
I was alive.
Poet Lawrence Ferlinghetti, arrested during a pre-Christmas series of peace demonstrations outside the Oakland Induction Center, was sentenced yesterday to 17 days in the county jail. He pleaded no contest to a charge of disturbing the peace. Before sentencing Ferlinghetti, Municipal Judge Whitten McKibben said the purpose of the demonstration was to stop the war. Its purpose was to block the entrance to war. The motive of the demonstrators was pure and the action was totally nonviolent. It was a legitimate expression of political dissent. And I believe that such dissent must not be suppressed and prosecuted in a society that calls itself free. Ferlinghetti, who will begin serving his time tomorrow at Santa Rita Prison Farm, said in another statement that he believed that the, quote, American people are suffering this Christmas season from a mass guilt complex as a direct result of the American action in Vietnam. They know they are doing evil, but they are confused and don't know how to stop. They know that this nation as a whole is guilty of crimes against humanity in Vietnam. Ferlinghetti,
48-year-old author of Coney Island of the Mind and owner of the City Lights bookstore at 261 Columbus Avenue, was a lieutenant governor in the Navy during World War II and served in the Normandy invasion.
Thank you.
Here's a poem by me. Yeah, Europe is rolling down. Long may it live. So that's like, what, 15 years ago or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is called that earthquake the other night and fears of a North Korean attack on San Francisco. Trump walks from plane to microphone. Trump walks from offstage to microphone. Trump loves waiting in the wings, high on adrenaline, and as he spews warmongering frat boy syntax at Kim Jong-un, he hears when Johnny comes marching home in his mind, and Kim, the privileged, his blood boiling and high on Trump's verbal harassment, threatens to bomb American cities, threatens annihilation, while we sleep here on the Hayward Fault by the Berkeley Hills, while the plates of the fault slowly slide against each other Earth-style with the expectation of easy passage. They need to move constantly, as tectonic plates do. Here on the only planet in the solar system with plates, there are no brakes, no stopping mechanisms, no throttle, no ignition to turn off, for they move at the behest of the molten core, the heart of Mother Earth. If they hit a snag as they did on January 4, 2018, they will lean and lean on that snag till the plates pop past it. And that is an earthquake large or an earthquake small like it was, jolting us into wakefulness and grateful the apartment building did not collapse, leery that it might lead to a bigger one very soon. Is this the way it will feel someday when bombs drop on our fair city? We have been awfully lucky to have shelter, to have food, to have elections, and some prosperity. Will it be our time to suffer someday? My sons, grown men now, know how to pitch a tent. Will this be the best skill we taught them? No black belt in karate will protect them from the bombs like those that destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The minute hand on the big clock ticks. It is getting close to midnight. So we ride that shaker and thank our lucky stars it is just a small one this time. There are reasons to be worried.
Woo! Happy Manning! And now, as per one of the traditions we have here, the keynote is introduces the evening by reading a poem of somebody else's, and then the keynote comes back to do his own thing, which he is about to do right now. Clyde, always give him a round of applause, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on and step right up, folks. I'm going to grab yourself a front row seat before the gong, they're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, you're always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always, and I ain't no common carnival barker, I am
the Bard of the Lower Haight.
And this is the tale of Manny and the hot dog cart.
I love this one.
Once upon a time, not too long ago, in the Mission District of San Francisco, there lived a man named Manny. And Manny had come all the way from the wilds of the Yucatan to have a go at the American dream. So one day Manny, with his own two hands, and with scraps that he found for free, he built himself a hot dog cart on wheels. And he bought himself a big tank of propane and some links and some bacon and buns, not to mention the onions and mustard and hot sauce and tinfoil too. And that very night, Manny, he set up on the corner of 16th and Valencia streets, and the people walked by and they bought his hot dogs. He sold out his whole greasy stock, and he went to bed rich and fat and happy. And the next day, Manny returned, his cart bursting with supplies, only to find no fewer than 7 other guys set up on the same damn corner slinging those bacon-wrapped hot dogs themselves. They'd stolen his brilliant idea. So Manny set up and he'd sold a few, and he'd started to eat his losses when a cleaning lady, all laden with brooms and mops and buckets and rags, she came up to him and she spoke to him in Mayan, his native tongue. She said, I'm a wicked witch. Well, I got something down here that could, clean up the competition. Well, Manny said, what do you want in return, witch? She said, yeah, you'll know that when the time comes, Manny. So Manny agreed. She then handed him a miniature handheld vacuum cleaner and hobbled away. So Manny stood there a minute, this vacuum in hand. Then he crossed to the other side of the street and crept up behind a man with a hot dog stand. And he took aim and he flipped the switch. And believe it or not, boom, he sucked up the whole operation. Man and fire and meat and onions and all. And he did it again. Boom, and again and again. Boom, and until his was the only stand left. At which point 3 mariachis walked by, only they weren't singing. They were munching away on pupusas. So Manny marched on down to the pupuseria and he sucked up all those tasty pockets. At which point a hipster chick walked by and she was nibbling some slice of pizza pie like a rat on a cracker. So Manny sucked up the whole pizzeria and most of the building attached and the water mains burst and sparks flew and the people screamed, "Ah!" And the sirens, they all roared to the block. And the police surrounded Manny, their clubs aloft. But Manny sucked them up. And he sucked up their cruisers and vans and snarling dogs. Then he sucked up the buildings and wires and poles. He sucked up the sidewalks and sewers and streets. He sucked up the whole city. Then he sucked up the whole world. Then he sucked up the planets and cosmos and stars. And then, Manny, he stood all alone on a field of desolate white, with the vacuum in one hand and his sorry hot dog cart in the other. At which point, a man appeared to Manny. The man was short and tall. The man was fat and skinny. The man was ugly and handsome. The man was black and white and yellow and red and brown. He was an everyman. And he snatched the vacuum out of Manny's hand, and he spoke to Manny in Mayan, which, as you know, is Manny's native tongue. He said, "What the fuck have you done?" Oh, Manny lowered his hand and replied, "I don't know." And the everyman said, "I shall have to punish you for this, Manny." And Manny agreed. The everyman thought for a moment and said, "I know, I will send you back to the place of your birth 1,000 years before you were born, and there you can live out the rest of your days." And just like that, oh, Manny awoke, as if from a dream, only he was atop a big pyramid with his back on a block and his hands and feet restrained, and below him were writhing masses all screaming for his blood, and above him was a familiar face. And she was grinning, a vile grin, none other than that of the cleaning lady, wielding not a little feather duster, just a great big razor-sharp shard of obsidian. Meanwhile, the everyman on the field of white, he pointed the vacuum straight out and he boom, powered it into reverse. Out popped the planets and cosmos and stars. And the earth, it fell right into place. And the city streets lined up all square in a grid. And the people, they hit the ground walking. And at last the vacuum sputtered and coughed. And believe in that, folks, because I never told you no bullshit before. That night, all across the Mission District, it rained down a torrent of pizza pie slices and pupusas and bacon-wrapped hot dogs all smothered in onions. And down the street walked the cleaning lady that night with Manny's soul buried deep in her pockets. And she snagged a hot dog right out of the air. And she took a big bite. And she snickered. "Damn, Manny, these hot dogs kind of suck." Wait for this, everybody. Tune in next time for another episode.
As always!
My one-man show is at the Morning Show on January 24th. If you could all come and bring all of your friends, that would be much appreciated. Good night.
Much appreciated. Good night. Thank you. Alrighty, daddy. So, thank you. Thank you, Clyde. Always. Rob, come forward, please. Make your presence known. And give him a round of applause as he comes up here through the maze of humanity that this place has become. God only knows what God only knows. That's what my mom used to say.
Brevity. All right, here we go. This is called advice. The only time to ever give advice is when the same person asks for it twice. Number 2. This is called 1. Some women need 2 or 3 husbands. Still others need none. The only number that no woman has ever needed? 1. Number 3, this is called Son of Jeffer. Buddha would sigh if Buddhism he did spy. J.C. would flee from Christianity. Marx would hurl to see the communist world. Jefferson would cry to see the U.S. of I.
Yeah.
Number 4, Jettison set. Romance, finance, what's in it for me? The balance tips, I jettison thee. Number 5, serial victims. Serial monogamy be serial train wrecks. Woman nor man, there ain't no fair sex. Number 6, alack. Alack the gays, we poison their ways. The gift of marriage, a loathsome carriage. And finally, number 7, WMG. See this dick. See this skin. By what right ought I ask you listen?
Rob! And now that this brings you to me or me to you, when we get out here and stand in front of the microphone.
I love this microphone. This microphone loves me. And that song, Johnny Come Marching Home, it's from an Irish song, Johnny, I Hardly Knew You, with your guns and drums and drums and guns, haroo, haroo, with your guns and drums and drums and guns, haroo, haroo. It looks like your dancing days are through. Johnny, I hardly knew you. And there's seriously bad lyrics in that, but they're wonderful anyway. Anyway, I'd like to do this A or B.
B.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Step back.
Both. Thank you.
So this is, I mean, how many people know Kabir? Okay, so all right. So this is a humorist, my kind of humor for the title. From Kabir to Kabir and everything in between. My heart, oh my friends, is on fire with a happiness so very, very great. It's each and every fiber is vibrant, gloriously radiant, dazzling. And it is so light, buoyed by such joy as is never found by the possession of common treasure, wants, or passion. The precious heart is never beguiled by such trinkets, nor can its love be overthrown. It knows what all beggars do. If you keep your life in your own hands, then wherever you go, even in common attire with simple shoes, you'll have your arts to proffer. And so will you please exceedingly well those whom you find along the way, and in so doing also find your estate in being yourself, wherever, whenever. And just as simple folk do, it leaves life to being. It knows that its meaning comes from giving life meaning, as they say, whereby one may then live with easy grace from moment to eternity. We all know the body becomes dust, and so vanity is at best temporal. Why then wish for, hope for, fear of what was or may yet be? Dwell then in the vast, intimate immediacy of its love, and so be contented with yourself as you are, as it is. One thing more. as contented as you may be in this manner, even then, still, listen as if a saintly chorale were about to sound at any moment, and know you will meet the divine at any moment. Thank you. This one has references to historical and other movies and things like that. So when I go like this, I'm reading something that indicates an old film or something. I may goof that part up. And this segues from that one. Where do dreams go? When dreams go, where do they go? After falling into something you might call time, so that much later, when that worthy comes a-calling, as he always does, no matter his appearance or how you elect to take it, leave it, whatever, yet will he sit you down comfortably, mine, and begin a recounting of those once-upon dreams you had, where fantastic creatures had crazy places to go and wondrous things to do. As a teen, dismissing the dusty passages of so-called wisdom, pondering the nature of the universe, and visualizing a remake of the world in happiness. And then all those shape-shifting dreams, the top-secret make-a-wish lists, the desire to become a somebody, a contender, by the time you're all grown up, and certain you'd never suffer from the illusions of temporality or get caught up in the flow that ever goes on and on and on until, well, there comes that point when, as I said, time comes a-calling. And then sitting there with time during that very long-seeming moment, those misty hopes of sailing the Atlantic or visiting other worlds, finding a cure for this, an invention for that, finding the answers to life's persistent questions, are as real as the joyful lift such considerations still give your soul, and as the song in your heart is. Yes, when time comes, it's for letting go, moving on, although you both just sit there, and time drums his fingers as you both take it all in. You'll never glimpse Xanadu, dance a jig on ancestral stones, stand atop that peak you saw on your way to school, travel the October country, or walk Grover's Corner, Flanders Fields, fly over the white cliffs of Dover, stroll the marketplace of old Algiers, see the pyramids along the Nile, or get what Murray said and 1,000 clowns insisted upon. So, there you are, sitting with time, feeling just as you did all that way back when, as your dreams come and go lightly, passing by as bubbles which pop, becoming less than a breath of mist that vanishes, as time takes you for a ride, as they used to say. At some point, you mutely come to the conclusion that this tete-a-tete has nothing to do with regret, nothing to do with anything at all like that. In fact, it's just a show for a very exclusive audience of what? And then time nods just exactly as you do. Regret has nothing on this sort of loss. As you look up, one last bubble approaches, kinda wobbly. You're uncertain it will make it. Oh, how you wish it was a book you could reread at your leisure. But it isn't. And it wasn't made for that. Certainly. Nope. Not made for that at all.
I was going to read those last Saturday, but it didn't happen with me. All right. Thank you for your patience, kindness, understanding, and wherewithal. Mr. Martin Joseph, please rise to the occasion, or to the microphone, whichever you feel is more appropriate. Oh, we'll take care of that. Oh, are we having a duet?
Yes.
Oh. So it's
This.
oh.
And but maybe I should write a poem on that before I give it back to you.
What?
The Puerto Rico.
I can't focus. Let me get you organized here. Are you in?
Yeah, you in?
He is in.
I want to get both of them though, the guilty parties and everything. There we go. Look at that. You're beautifully set to go.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime I can be of service.
You're welcome.
Oh, I got you in. Yeah.
Hi, Garrett. How you doing? Let me know when you're done.
All right. He didn't know he was signed in. I couldn't get a hold of him when he walked in. All right. Take it easy, buddy. All right. Are you ready?
No.
Okay.
Good evening, Sacred Grounds.
Good evening, Martin Joseph.
I said, good evening, Sacred Grounds.
There we go.
So back in 1991, there was a newspaper article about a woman who was shot out in Oakland, and the thing was she was pregnant, and they performed an operation that has resulted in a 27-year-old person who is now occupying some space with a name unknown in the East Bay. So this is basically a true story. And 26 years later, I got this young man, Alan Harris, to do it as a duet with me. It's called Brain Dead Woman Kept Alive. The man shot her in the head. It was robbery, he said.
But when they brought her to the station, they found she was in gestation.
She was just 5 months along, and no one knew if it was right or wrong.
Still, they set out to prolong the baby's life until they could extract it with a knife.
They filled her full of juices and pulled it in the tubes. They called all the media and spread the news.
The next day on the newsstands, the headline was bold. In case you didn't know it, here's the story that they told.
Brain dead woman kept alive. Maybe the baby will survive.
Brain dead woman kept alive. Maybe the baby will survive.
They didn't expect what happened next. From all the calls that were generated by their text, so many women wanted to know, is that me?
Lots of men called in too, with their associations free. And they said, didn't you mean? Didn't you mean? Didn't you mean me? Didn't you mean? Didn't you mean? Didn't you mean?
Brain dead man kept alive. Maybe the baby will survive.
Brain dead man kept alive. Maybe the baby will survive.
From local news to national, on all the network stations, the images that filled the screens were massive demonstrations.
The calls recalled and echoed through the nation. Are we, they asked, a brain-dead generation?
And the headlines read,
brain-dead generation kept alive. Maybe the next one will survive.
Brain-dead generation kept alive. Maybe the next one will survive.
And that's the way it is.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Martin Joseph, Alan Harris. What a duet. Thank you. Thank you. What a duet. We'll have to do that again as a duet. All right. Thank you. All right, we have come to one of my favorite portions of the evening. Part where I get to speak in public about somebody. But let me raise the mic so I can whisper into it like I would if I were carefully talking to someone I cared about. I am carefully talking to somebody I care about, the audience here. So, Sally Love Saunders is our feature of the evening. And some of you have not heard her before, some of you have, so this is wonderful. There's a nice mix of people who will be surprised and pleased, and other people go, oh yeah, I like that one. Okay. I like to say this about her when I've introduced her in the past, and that is that she has used poetry in hospital circumstances to help people heal. She has put words on paper which have been used to help people heal. I love that. And then they liked it so much they had her come back and do things, healing people through poetry. It's amazing, the power of words. We do that here for various purposes. She used it in her life for those purposes. She loves writing. She's been writing since like 4 years old. 4 years old. So a long time. And we're celebrating your birthday this evening, yes? Yes.
So a couple of very special things about her: kindness, caring, consideration, playfulness with words, and if you listen and go through in between things, you'll get a lot out of it. There's a lot in there. They seem simple, but they are not. Just so you know. Let's see, anything else that I wanted to say. Oh, I've known her for a number of years now, and she's made events like this very special. A lot of people come to hear her, and that's evident here this evening. So, without further ado or amiss, I'm going to set up the camera, do something special for her, and she will get herself organized. Give her a nice big round of applause. Sally Lynn Saunders in the house. Going to be featuring her on a little night.
Yeah, so good. Just give me a moment here so I can organize here. Hold on a second.
Stop while I'm ahead.